galaxy was laughing. Far across the stars, the great alien empire spoke of Earth as if it was nothing more than dust. To them, humans were weak creatures, still crawling on a small blue planet, fighting among themselves and dreaming of reaching the stars. They were ants, looking up at giants, and the giants did not take them seriously. But humans had always been strange. They had survived things that should have broken them. They had fought wars, diseases, disasters, and still, they kept moving forward. What the galaxy did not know was that Earth carried a hidden strength, a strength no empire had ever faced before. It all began with a signal. In the year 2147, deep space scanners on Earth caught something unusual. Compulsive energy, not natural, not random. It was a transmission. The scientists at first thought it was a distant star's noise, but soon the pattern became clear. It was intelligent. Someone, somewhere, was speaking, and they were not whispering. The signal was strong, directed, and filled with data. But it was not a greeting. It was laughter. For days, the scientists worked to decode it. When the meaning was finally revealed, the room grew cold. The message was a recording sent from a council of alien leaders, and the words carried a cruel tone. Earth, the forgotten world, the child planet. Let them live in their little cage. They will never rise. They are not worth a war. They are not even worth notice. Their existence is amusing. The aliens were mocking humanity. When the recording was leaked, the entire planet reacted. Some felt fear if powerful empires were out there. Earth had no defense. Others felt rage. Strangers across the stars had already judged them as worthless. But in hidden places, in secret labs, and military stations, a different kind of decision was made. If the galaxy thought humans were weak, then perhaps it was time to show them otherwise. But the real twist came a month later. The signal did not stop. New fragments began to arrive. This time, it was not only laughter, it was plans. The alien empires spoke freely, as if no one on Earth could understand them. They talked of wars between themselves, great weapons that could destroy entire worlds, fleets with thousands of ships, and borders stretched across millions of light years. Earth was nothing to them, so they did not hide their secrets, and Earth listened, every word, every plan, every piece of technology that slipped through those signals was studied. What was meant to humiliate humans became their greatest opportunity. Engineers broke down alien weapon designs. Mathematicians studied faster-than-light equations. Biologists looked at alien genetics. Piece by piece, Earth was learning. But something else was happening too. In the quiet shadows of night, people around the world began to dream. They dreamed of standing among the stars, of facing those who mocked them, of proving that humanity was not small. Governments that once fought each other now held secret meetings. Old enemies shared information. It was as if the laughter from the sky had lit a fire inside the human race. Yet not all believed. Some warned that using alien knowledge would bring disaster. Some said Earth should stay hidden, stay silent, and pray the giants never noticed them. But it was already too late. The mocking voices had been heard. The fire could not be put out. Then came the first test. In 2150, just 3 years after the first signal, a small alien scout ship entered the solar system. It was damaged, fleeing from a battle far away, and it did not even care that humans might see it. To them, Earth was too primitive to matter. But when the ship passed near Mars, it detected something strange. Signals, weapons, a base that should not exist. The humans had built something in secret. The alien crew laughed when they saw the human craft rise from the Martian surface. It was clumsy, slow, nothing compared to their sleek technology. But when the first shot was fired, their laughter stopped. The weapon was human-made, but it carried alien power. The blast tore through the scout ship's shields, something no primitive world should have been able to do. The battle was short. For the first time in history, Earth had defeated an alien vessel. The news spread across the galaxy. The laughter faded. The giants stopped joking, began to ask questions. How did Earth build such weapons? How did they learn? And most importantly, what else were they hiding? But Earth stayed silent. No broadcasts, no messages, only watching. Waiting, preparing, because the humans knew the truth. This was only the beginning. The galaxy had mocked them, but the time would come when Earth would rise, and when that day came, the laughter of the empires would turn into fear, and somewhere, deep in a hidden chamber under Earth's surface, a voice spoke the words that would guide the next century. They called us insignificant. Let us show them what insignificance truly means. The wreck of the alien scout ship was carried to a secret facility beneath the deserts of Earth. Scientists, soldiers, and engineers stood around it in silence. For the first time, humanity was touching something truly alien, something born among the stars. The ship was broken, its crew gone, but its secrets were alive. Strange metals, glowing circuits, and a core of energy that pulsed like a beating heart. Everything inside it was a puzzle waiting to be solved. For weeks, no one left the facility. Teams worked day and night, pulling apart every panel, every weapon, every strange piece of alien technology. Most of it was far beyond human science, but the earlier transmissions had given Earth a key. The mocking laughter of the galaxy had unknowingly taught them how to read alien systems, how to understand what no human should have understood. Bit by bit, Scout Ship's knowledge became Earth's. But something else was discovered. Something the aliens had not meant to reveal. Hidden in the ship's data core was a map, a star chart filled with routes, colonies, and territories. Humanity had thought the galaxy was empty. They saw it was filled with empires, vast and ancient, stretching across millions of stars, and among those glowing points of light, one world was marked with a symbolous circle of fire. The humans did not know its name. They felt its meaning. The heart of power. Earth's leaders gathered in secret to decide what to do. Some argued that humanity should remain hidden, to grow stronger before the empires noticed them. Others argued that hiding was impossible. The scout ship's destruction would not remain a secret forever. Sooner or later, someone would come. The vote was divided, but in the end, the decision was clear. Earth would prepare for war not because they wanted it, but because war was coming whether they were ready or not. And so began Project Dawn. Factories that once built cars now built starship parts. Universities that once studied oceans now studied alien physics. Generals who once commanded armies now trained space fleets. Earth became a forge, a place of fire and ambition, where every mind and every hand worked toward one goal: survival. The world changed in only a few years. Cities lit with new energy sources, cures for old diseases discovered in alien medical data, and machines that bent space itself tested in secret. Humanity was no longer crawling. Humanity was rising. But the galaxy had not forgotten them. In the year 2155, 5 years after the scout ship's destruction, another alien vessel entered the solar system. This time it was not a lone scout. It was a warship, larger than anything Earth had ever seen. Its hull shimmered with shields, its cannons glowed with power, and its crew came with a single purpose: to punish. They expected fear. They expected surrender. They expected a planet begging for mercy. Instead, they found silence as the warship approached Earth. Human fleets rose from the shadows of the moon, from stations hidden behind Mars, from dark places in the asteroid belt. They were not perfect ships, not sleek or elegant, but they carried weapons the aliens had never seen in human hands. The first battle for Earth began in the blackness of space. The alien warship opened fire, its beams slicing across the void. Human shields cracked, ships were torn apart, but they did not fall back. They fought with a fury the aliens did not understand. For every human ship destroyed, another pushed forward. For every blast that ripped through their fleets, the humans answered with stolen fire of their own. Then, at the height of the battle, Earth revealed its greatest weapon. From deep beneath the planet's surface, a massive cannon rose into orbit. It was crude compared to alien designs, but it carried a piece of stolen technology inside it. When it fired, the sky itself seemed to break. A single beam of pure energy tore through the alien warship's shields as if they were paper, burning through its core. The warship exploded in silence, a dying sun in the blackness of space. Humanity had won again. But this time, there was no silence in the galaxy. The news spread fast. Empires that had mocked Earth were now alarmed. Whispers turned into warnings. The child planet has teeth, they said. The forgotten world is awake. Yet the galaxy still did not understand the truth. They thought Earth had been lucky, or perhaps stolen more than anyone expected. But what they could not see was the one weapon humans had that no empire possessed. It was not their ships. It was not their weapons. It was their will. No empire had ever been united the way Earth was now. Billions of humans, from every nation, from every background, were working together with a single purpose: to rise. The mocking laughter had become a fire that burned in every heart. And far away, in that circle of fire, on the alien star map, someone was watching. A great power, older than Earth could imagine, had noticed the noise. The mocking had ended. Now came something far worse. Attention, the galaxy had gone silent. For centuries, the great empires had mocked each other, fought endless wars, and laughed at the small blue world called Earth. But now, after 2 unexpected defeats, the laughter was gone. Whispers spread, instead dark, uneasy whispers. Humans defeated a warship. Humans cracked our technology. Humans should not be able to do this, yet no one acted immediately. The empires were proud, too proud to admit fear. They told themselves it was a mistake, a lucky strike, a single victory that would not repeat. But deep inside, they all began to watch. Eyes that had never cared about Earth now turned toward the solar system, and Earth knew it by 2160. Only 10 years after the first scout ship had fallen, humanity was no longer bound to its home planet. Fleets of crude but powerful ships moved between Mars, the asteroid belt, and Jupiter's moons. Colonies grew inside metal domes, fueled by alien power sources. Factories in orbit built weapons, ships, and engines faster than ever before. But it was not just defense anymore. Humanity was preparing to leave. The stolen star map had become their guide. Among the countless stars, they had chosen one, Epsilon Eridani, system close enough to reach but far enough to test their strength. A colony ship was built, massive and strong, carrying thousands of settlers in an escort fleet. Its name was Simple Resolve. The launch of the Resolve was not broadcast to the galaxy. It rose in silence, hidden behind the glare of the sun, until it was gone, carrying humanity's hope into the darkness. But the galaxy had eyes everywhere. 2 months after Resolve left, a council gathered on a distant world. Alien leaders, beings of different shapes and colors filled a great chamber. Their voices clashed like storms. Earth must be contained. They are too young to rise. They will upset the balance. One voice, colder than the rest, silenced the chamber. It belonged to a being from the Circle of Fire world, the same mark on the stolen map. His empire was older than all the others, and his words carried weight. "Let them rise a little," he said. "Let them build. Strong. Then we will remind them of their place. When they reach beyond their cage, we will crush them. Not before." The others agreed. A trap was set, but humanity was already moving faster than expected in the blackness of interstellar space. The Resolve traveled with its escort fleet. The journey was long, the silence endless. For months, the settlers lived between stars, unsure if they would ever reach their new home. Children played in narrow corridors, farmers tended hydroponic gardens, soldiers drilled with weapons no human had carried before. Then, as they neared Epsilon Eridani, the trap was sprung. 3 alien warships appeared from the void, sleek and deadly, their hulls glowing with power far greater than anything humanity had seen. They did not send greetings. They did not ask questions. They came to destroy. The Resolve's escort fleet formed a shield around the colony ship. Human captains shouted orders, weapons charged, and battle began. The first minutes were brutal. Alien beams sliced through human shields, ships exploded in fire, and the Resolve shook under the shockwaves. Panic spread among the settlers. They were trapped, far from home, against an enemy they had no chance of defeating. But humans had never needed perfect chances. The escort fleet fought like wolves. They swarmed the alien ships, targeting engines, focusing fire, sacrificing themselves. To protect the Resolve, one by one, human ships fell, but not before tearing pieces from the enemy. And then something unexpected happened. The aliens laughed. Through the coms, their mocking voices filled the human channels. Is this all? The mighty Earthlings? The child race? You rise only to be broken? The settlers trembled, but the soldiers did not. They remembered. Humanity had heard laughter before, and laughter had always been fuel. In the chaos, one human, Captain, his ship burning and broken, drove straight into an alien warship. His final words echoed across the fleet. Let them laugh, and let them burn. The collision ripped through the alien vessel, detonating its core. The explosion blinded the stars for a moment. Shock spread through the alien fleet. Humans had destroyed one of them again. The two surviving alien warships retreated. It's not because they were defeated, but because they were shaken. They had expected weakness. They had found fire. The Resolve limped into orbit around Epsilon Eridani. The escort fleet was nearly gone, but the colony survived. Humanity had built its first world beyond Earth, and it was baptized not in peace, but in blood. When the news returned to the solar system, the world did not weep for the fallen. Instead, they built more ships. They trained more soldiers. They prepared for more battles, because by now, every human understood the truth. The galaxy would not stop them. The galaxy would not forgive them, and the galaxy would not laugh again. But far away in the Circle of Fire world, the ancient empire was watching closely. The voice of its leader whispered once more, "Good. Let them grow. Let them sharpen their claws. For when we strike, it will be the end of them." The colony on Epsilon Eridani did not rest. Its soil was red and dry, its air thin and bitter, but the settlers worked without fear. They had survived the trap. They had survived the first true test among the stars. Every sunrise on that alien world reminded them. Humanity was no longer bound to Earth. They were no longer a hidden race. They were rising, but with every rise comes shadow. Across the galaxy, whispers grew louder. Smaller civilizations, tiny worlds, trapped under alien empires, heard of humanity's victories. They heard of the child race that had stood against warships, the child race that had stolen power from giants. For the first time in centuries, they felt hope. Some sent secret messages hidden through trade routes and pirate channels. They begged for help. "Earthlings, we suffer under empires. We cannot fight. But you can." Others simply watched in silence, waiting to see if the humans would burn or endure. Earth's leaders debated these cries. Some said humanity must stay silent and strong, grow before taking risks. But others argued that strength was not only ships and weapons, strength was allies. The decision was made. Humanity would answer. The first meeting was with a race called the Tayari. They were bird-like, thin, and fragile, their wings useless in heavy gravity. For generations, they had been slaves to an empire called the Vorak, forced to mine metals, until their world was hollow. When humans arrived in their skies, the Vorak laughed and said, "Take what you want, Earthlings." But the Tayari belonged to us. The Vorak laughter ended when human guns spoke. The battle was quick, brutal. Vorak ships fell to coordinated human strikes. Their arrogance turned against them. When the smoke cleared, the Tayari stood free for the first time in centuries. Their leader bowed low before the human admiral and whispered words that would echo. "Across the galaxy mocked you. But to us, you are saviors." News spread fast. Other broken races began to whisper the same thing. Humanity was not just surviving, it was breaking chains that had held others for generations. But while smaller empires trembled, the great powers, grew angry. On the Circle of Fire world, the ancient empire watched with cold eyes. They saw not just rebellion, but infection. If humans inspired others to rise, the balance of the galaxy would shatter. Their leader's voice filled the halls. Of power. Enough. Send the fleet. No more games. Show them what it means to challenge us. And so the storm began to gather. In 2168, Earth's fleets had spread far beyond the solar system. Human ships now patrolled Epsilon Eridani, the freed Tyari world, and secret outposts hidden in asteroid belts. Factories ran day and night, soldiers trained in orbital stations. Whispers of alliance grew stronger, but no one was ready for what came next. The first sign was silence. Ships traveling between stars vanished. Colonies stopped sending reports. Then, from the edge of space, the shadow arrived. The ancient empire's fleet entered human territory. It was not 3 warships. It was not 10. It was hundreds. Great armadas of black metal, each ship larger than mountains, each cannon strong, enough to shatter moons. The galaxy had finally sent its true power. The first human fleets that faced them were annihilated. Entire squadrons were erased in moments. Human captains fought bravely, but they were ants before giants. The ancient empire's message was clear. You rose too fast. You reached too far. Now you will return to dust. But the humans did not break. Even as losses mounted, Earth responded with fire. Factories built more ships. Colonies armed themselves. Young and old alike volunteered for defense. The Tyari, once slaves, offered their entire people to fight beside their new allies. For every human fleet destroyed, another rose. For every battle lost, new strategies were forged. The ancient empire expected surrender. What they found was defiance, and in the chaos, humanity revealed something new at the Battle of Vega. When the ancient fleet moved to crush a human colony, the sky tore open. From hyperspace, a massive human ship emerged, larger than anything Earth had ever built. It was not elegant, not graceful. It was a fortress, forged of steel and fury. Its name was simple, carved into its hull for all to see: Defiance. The Defiance opened fire, unleashing weapons that bent space itself. The battle raged for hours, but the human flagship did not fall. When the ancient fleet retreated, the galaxy shook with disbelief. Earth had stood against the storm, but the leader of the ancient empire only smiled when he heard the reports. Good, he whispered. Let them resist. Let them bleed us. They think they win battles. They do not see the war. This is only the beginning. The galaxy was burning. In every corner, small flames of rebellion began to rise. Races long enslaved by mighty empires now whispered a new word. To the weak, humans were not ants anymore. They were firebringers. They were proof that even the smallest world could rise against giants. Every victory humanity won echoed across the stars. When the Vorak Empire sent fleets to retake the Tyari, they found not only bird-like rebels waiting, but human ships hidden among them. When slave revolts broke out on distant mining colonies, human weapons were there, smuggled through secret routes. The galaxy had laughed once, now it began to tremble. But with each step forward, the shadow of the ancient empire grew larger. On the Circle of Fire world, the leaders of that empire studied every report. They were not surprised by rebellions. They were not surprised by the fire of humanity. But they were patient, always patient. They spread themselves thin. Their leader said, "They fight everywhere. They grow too fast. Fast things burn quickly." And in the darkness of their core world, something monstrous was being built. A weapon not meant for fleets or colonies, but for planets themselves. A weapon with one purpose: to erase Earth. Back in the solar system, humanity's strength had reached heights once thought impossible. Earth's skies swarmed with fleets. Mars glowed with shipyards. The moon pulsed with energy stations. And in orbit, the colossal flagship Defiance floated like a guardian. A reminder that Earth no longer bowed to anyone, but the leaders of Earth were restless. They knew the ancient empire was waiting. They knew a storm larger than anything yet. Feast was coming. Some argued for caution, for retreat to strongholds, but others said the opposite. If we wait, we die. If we hide, they crush us. We must take the war to them. So humanity began to lead rebellions openly. On the world of Chiasor, reptilian slaves broke their chains when human marines landed in the night. On the ice world of Freda, miners who had been beaten for centuries raised human-made rifles and shouted a new war cry. For Earth and everywhere, the same story repeated. Humanity did not only fight for themselves, they fought for all who were, mocked all who were enslaved, all who had been forgotten by the galaxy's cruel empires. But victory carried a price. Human fleets were stretched thin. Colonies lived under constant fear of attack. Every battle took lives that could not be replaced. And still, the ancient empire remained silent, watching, waiting, preparing. The silence ended at the edge of the solar system in 2172. Earth's deep space defenses caught something approaching. At first, it looked like a comet, bright, burning, beautiful. But it was not ice. It was not rock. It was a weapon, a living engine of destruction. Fired across the stars by the ancient empire, its target was Earth itself. When the news reached the planet, the world froze. Millions stared at the skies, knowing death was on its way. Politicians shouted, scientists argued, soldiers prepared for the impossible. Could they stop something that carried the power to burn a world? The Defiance was sent to intercept, alongside. It rose hundreds of ships, every weapon Earth could spare. They met the weapon in the void, far from the planet, and the greatest battle in human history began. The weapon was alive. It fought like a beast, tearing through fleets with claws of fire. Human ships were ripped apart, dozens at a time. The Defiance shook under its strikes, its hull breaking, its cannons glowing until they cracked. But humans did not turn back. Again and again, they threw themselves into the fight. Small ships rammed into the weapon's armor, breaking pieces away. Bombers dropped stolen alien explosives deep into its burning body. Soldiers shouted across comes for Earth, even as their ships fell silent forever. Finally, after hours of slaughter, the Defiance reached the weapon's heart. Captain, bleeding and broken, gave the last order, fire everything. The blast was so bright it turned night into day on Earth. The weapon screamed across the stars, then shattered into a storm of light. The solar system shook with the shockwave, but Earth survived. The price was heavy. The Defiance was gone. The fleet was gone. Thousands of lives were gone. But the planet still lived. Humanity still lived. When the news spread, the galaxy gasped. The ancient empire had unleashed death itself, and humans had stopped it. But in the circle of Fire World, the leader of the ancient empire did not rage. He smiled. Good, he whispered. They survived. That means they are ready. The real war begins now. The wreck of Defiance still drifted in the cold of space, broken but remembered. Sacrifice had saved Earth, but every human knew the truth. The ancient empire was not finished. The weapon they had destroyed was only a test. Now, the real storm was coming. Across the galaxy, oppressed races rose in open rebellion. The Vorak lost world after world as slaves turned against them with human rifles in their hands. The Tyari now flew in human-built starfighters, their fragile wings spread inside cockpits of steel. On ice, desert, and jungle worlds, new war. Cries echoed, for freedom, for Earth, for all who were forgotten. Humanity had become more than a world. It had become a symbol. But symbols alone do not win wars. Earth's leaders gathered in a vast chamber beneath the mountains. Soldiers, scientists, admirals, and the new allies of Earth stood around a single glowing table where a map of the galaxy shimmered. Lines of fire showed enemy fleets, spreading like claws across the stars. The reports were grim. The ancient empire had unleashed its armadas. Entire sectors burned. Worlds that had joined humanity were already under siege. The enemy was not laughing anymore. They were crushing, step by step, world by world, until their path pointed toward her again. Admiral Cade, scarred veteran of Vega and Epsilon Eridani, rose to speak. His voice was low but steady. If we wait, Earth falls. If we scatter, we fall. There is only one path left. We unite. Unite. The word hung in the air like thunder. For the first time in history, races that had once feared each other stood side by side. The Tayari offered their pilots. The reptilian Kaiasaur offered ground armies. Even broken pirate fleets bent their knees, swearing loyalty to the humans who gave them a chance to fight something greater than themselves. And so the Coalition of the Forgotten was born. Factories across human space thundered day and night. Human engineers fused their technology with alien craft, creating strange new ships never seen before. Fighters that flew like birds, carriers shaped like great reptiles, cannons powered by human steel and alien fire. A fleet began to take shape, larger than anything humanity had ever commanded. A fleet not of one world, but of many. Yet even as this new alliance rose, shadows deepened. Spies reported that the ancient empire was building something vast in the Circle of Fire world. A super weapon, greater than the one that had already failed. A weapon not meant to destroy a planet, but to erase entire star systems at once. The thought of it chilled every leader in the chamber. If such a weapon was unleashed, not only Earth, but every allied world would burn. We cannot wait for it, Admiral Cade said. We must strike first. And so plans began. The coalition would march to war, not to defend, but to attack. There, fleets would meet the Empire head-on. Humanity would carry the fight into the heart of the storm. The march began with fire. In 2175, the largest fleet in human history rose from the solar system. Thousands of ships, human and alien together, stretched across the stars. The sight filled Earth's skies with light brighter than any dawn. Millions watched from below, whispering prayers, shedding tears, and raising fists. Children pointed at the shining streaks across the sky and said, "That is us." The fleet moved through the void, striking at enemy positions, breaking blockades, freeing worlds. Each victory added more to their ranks. The forgotten races of the galaxy were no longer silent. They were soldiers now, their chains shattered, their voices raised in war songs. But the enemy was vast, and the ancient empire did not fear. At the Battle of Draxus, the coalition fleet met its first true challenge. Hundreds of Empire warships stood in their path, larger and stronger than most had ever seen. The void became fire as the two forces clashed. The battle raged for days. Entire moons were cracked by stray blasts. Space itself seemed to burn. Coalition ships fell by the dozens, but they did not retreat. Humans and aliens fought together, side by side, covering each other, saving each other, and when the smoke cleared, the coalition still stood. The Empire had lost more than ships. They had lost something greater. Fear for the first time. The galaxy's greatest power had been pushed back. When the news spread, worlds everywhere erupted in hope. The galaxy once filled with silence and mocking laughter now roared with something new. Rebellion, but far away. On the Circle of Fire world, the ancient leader did not tremble. He stood at the heart of his empire, staring at the weapon that was almost ready, a machine so large it blotted out the skies. "Let them come," he said. "Let their fleet gather. We'll end them all in one blow." The coalition of the Forgotten moved like a storm. Thousands of ships, human and alien, rebels and outcasts swept across the stars. Everywhere they went, chains were broken. Worlds once beaten into silence now raised banners of freedom. The galaxy had never seen such unity. And yet, in the shadows of the Circle of Fire world, the ancient empire waited. They had lost battles, but they had not lost their strength. Their fleets were still vast, their soldiers countless. But more than that, they had a weapon. A weapon so large it was hidden inside a hollowed moon. A weapon powered by stolen suns. A weapon that could erase not just one planet, but an entire system with a single strike. The humans did not know. The coalition did not know. They thought they were marching to victory. In 2177, the final campaign began. The coalition fleet gathered at the edge of the Empire's territory. Admirals stood before vast maps of stars, voices filled with determination. This is it. We strike at their heart. We end their rule, or we end with it. The fleet moved. Thousands of drives lit the void, streaks of fire crossing the darkness. The largest armada in history was on the march. At first, the plan worked. Outlying stations fell. Border fleets broke. Colonies once enslaved rose in rebellion. Everywhere the coalition pushed deeper, closer to the Circle of Fire world. But then, the trap closed. At the edge of the Empire's core, the void filled with darkness. Hundreds of enemy ships, then thousands appeared from hyperspace. The coalition had expected resistance, but not this. The ancient empire had gathered nearly its entire force. The battle began at once. The void exploded with fire. Cannon blasts brighter than suns tore through the fleets. Fighters swarmed like insects, weaving between ships, exploding in flashes of light. Great capital ships shook as shields cracked and hulls shattered. Humans and allies fought like wolves. In a pack, the Tayari dove through enemy formations, their starfighters swift and deadly. The Kayasor ground troops boarded enemy vessels, their reptilian claws tearing through metal corridors. And human ships, forged of desperation and fury, held the line no matter the cost. But the enemy was endless. For every Empire ship destroyed, two more seemed to appear. Slowly, painfully, the coalition was pushed back. Flames of hope began to flicker. Then the weapon awoke. The hollowed moon turned. Its surface split open, revealing a massive core, glowing with stolen starlight. Energy built until the void trembled. A single blast erupted, wide as a planet, erasing an entire wing of the coalition fleet in one instant. Thousands of lives. Gone in silence. For a moment, even the bravest stood frozen. Was this the end? On the flagship Unity, Admiral Cade's voice broke the silence. They mock us with fire. They call us insignificant. Are we? The reply came from every channel, every ship, every soldier. No. And the fleet charged again, wave after wave. They struck at the moon weapon. Bombers dove straight into its blazing shields, burning with them. Fighters pierced its defenses, tearing at its massive cannons. Entire cruisers rammed themselves into weak points, detonating in light that shook the stars. Still the weapon fired. Each blast erased hundreds. But still the coalition pushed. Forward at last, the Unity reached the moon's heart. Its hull was torn, its decks aflame, but it had one final weapon left, a stolen alien core. It's unstable, dangerous, never meant to be used. Admiral Cade stood on the bridge, his uniform scorched, his body bleeding, but his voice steady. Earth was mocked. Earth was dismissed. Earth was forgotten. Let them remember us forever. He gave the order. The Unity plunged into the weapon's heart, its core overloading. For a moment, the galaxy seemed to stop. Silence filled the void. Then came the explosion. A light brighter than any sun consumed the battlefield. The hollowed moon shattered into a billion fragments. The weapon was gone. When the light faded, both fleets were broken. The coalition was in ruins, but alive. The Empire's greatest weapon was destroyed, their fleets scattered, their pride torn apart. The survivors drifted in silence, staring at the wreckage of stars. Humanity had bled more than ever before. But they had done what no one else had ever dared. They had struck at the heart of the greatest empire in the galaxy and lived on the Circle of Fire world. The ancient leader stood in silence as the news arrived. His weapon was gone. His fleets shattered, his empire shaken. But his eyes did not show fear. They burned with something else, hatred. This war is not over, he whispered. Now it truly begins. The galaxy was silent again. The shattered remains of the moon weapon drifted in endless night. Wreckage of thousands of ships, human and alien, friend and foe, floated like ghosts across the battlefield. The stars had witnessed a storm unlike any in history, and the echoes of it would never fade. Humanity had paid dearly. The flagship Unity was gone, half the coalition fleet had been lost, Millions of lives were scattered across the void. The weapon that was meant to erase Earth was gone too. For the first time, ancient empire had been wounded. News spread faster than light. Across the galaxy in slave camps and broken colonies, whispers turned into cheers. The humans destroyed. They said, the humans stood where no one else dared. The coalition of the forgotten was bloodied, but not broken. On Earth, people gathered under open skies, watching transmissions of the battlefield. When the explosion had first lit the heavens, fear had gripped them. But when the reports arrived, when they heard that humanity still lived, the planet erupted. Bells rang. Fires burned in celebration. Children painted stars on walls, whispering the names of fallen ships as heroes. The galaxy had called them ants. Now the galaxy called them something else. Giants. But the war was not finished. On the Circle of Fire world, ancient leaders stood. Before his council, his weapon was gone, his fleets shattered, his enemies multiplying. Yet he did not bow. They think they have won, he said, his voice cold and sharp. They think this is victory. No, this is only the first cut. They are still young, still reckless. We are eternal. Eternal things do not fall to children. But even as he spoke, cracks were forming. His empire had never been challenged. Before, now, for the first time, fear spread through its people. Fear of the humans. Fear of the impossible. And fear is a dangerous seed. The coalition pressed on. Freed worlds no longer hid in shadows, they raised fleets of their own. For the first time in centuries, the galaxy was no longer ruled by a single voice. It was many. Voices, united, loud, defiant. Human fleets became the shield of this new age. They were not the strongest ships. They were not the most advanced. But they carried something no one else had. A will that could not be broken. Every admiral, every soldier, every settler carried the same memory. The mocking voices, the laughter, the words that called them insignificant, and those words had become fuel. By 2180, Earth was no longer just a planet. It was the heart of a movement. A world that had once been dismissed now set the pace of history. A people once ignored now shaped the fate of stars. The ancient empire still lived. Its fleets still gathered. Its leaders still dreamed of crushing the humans. But the galaxy had changed forever. Even if the war continued for 100 years, the empires could no longer erase what had been born. Humanity had shown the truth, that strength is not in size, that power is not in age, that even the smallest world can rise and shake the heavens. On a quiet night in Epsilon Eridani, a child looked up at the stars from the first human colony and asked his mother, "Will the galaxy laugh at us again?" She smiled, holding him close, her eyes fixed on the endless sky. "No," she whispered, "they will never laugh again." And across the stars, on battlefields and colonies, in the hearts of humans and aliens alike, the same thought burned like fire. The galaxy had mocked Earth. The galaxy had dismissed Earth. But now, galaxy would remember Earth forever.